Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alliance live show number 72. I'm excited. Good old Maurice is excited. We're all ready to rock and roll, and we've got some topics to discuss. We were just live the other day, so there has been a few things to talk about, such as the puzzle that was released the other day. Not much in the way of news, but I do want to introduce my buddy, good old Maurice. How you doing today, brother?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. So, yes, we made up our stream for last Sunday because I was sick, and we did that on Friday night. So, if you guys didn't get a chance to check that out, definitely go see that. But if you want to just hear what we have to say today, you're at the right place because we're going to talk about the puzzle. So I know that Maurice, you guys had a stream yesterday on the Operation Metaverse channel with T-Money about the puzzle, and you say that it was solved. So what was the conclusion that everybody came out with on that puzzle that was released by CG Crumb the other day?
Well, you know, the community the community basically solved it, you know, pretty much like they always do, instantly. And it was a quote from Bastila from the original KOTOR game. What it means, though, is up for speculation. A lot of people think it's the Dark Side Bastila. A lot of people, you know, are a little terrified. It's, you know, Dark Side Revan coming already. Who knows? Who knows what it means? The mystery was solved of what the puzzle was, but what that phrase means for our game is unknown. You know, that's part of the fun of it. We solve the puzzle, and then we get to sit and speculate on it for a couple weeks. And you know, sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. That's part of the fun, I guess, of it.
That's all the fun. That's all the fun. So yeah, we get to speculate. So we get to do some speculating. And I personally feel like it means that we're getting a dark side character. You see, this is what I think. I thought when they said companions in that post that they were talking about Karth Onasi, right? Because I mean, he seems like a companion to me. Maurice, can you fix the camera a little bit? You're like on the bottom there. But yeah, I thought they were talking about Karth Onasi, and I thought that basically the situation was that we were going to get probably a look at, you know, another companion, another usable character in the game. But now, after that post, or after the puzzle, I kind of think that we're looking at, you know, possibly either Darth Malak, a dark side version of Bastila, or maybe Darth Revan. I mean, I don't know. I mean, could it really be that soon that we would get another version of Bastila or another version of Revan? I mean, what do you?
I mean, I'm not ruling it out. You know, I mean, it
seems kind of feasible. That seems kind of nuts to me, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that yes, it's like possible. You know what I mean? But I mean, in all likelihood, you know, I mean, we just got the Jedi meta, right? I mean, they let the Sith meta roll for months and months and months, right? So we just got Jedi Knight Revan. I mean, this is probably the most anticipated character in the history of the game. Somebody we've been waiting for a long time. Are they already going to release a dark side version of this character? Or even if they release Bastila, are they going to release a dark side character that's going to kind of tilt the meta again? I don't know. I mean, I think that we're looking at possibly another marquee character. Maybe, like you said last week, or in the last episode, they'll be releasing a character that can be attainable through the Grand Arena, kind of through multiple battles through the Grand Arena. You'll gain shards, kind of like a raid character, but a character that you'll get only from that event. And as you progress through the event over time, eventually you'll be able to 7-star the character. But maybe like if you get first place, you get 7 shards. If you get last place, you get 3 shards, or you know, however they decide to break that down.
Well, yeah, just you know, oh, it's too soon for Darth Revan. If they do the standard. If they do what they did last time, they'll release characters that you'll need for Revan, and then you know, through the cadence, you know, they'll come out through the marquee packs, and they'll come out to the shipments, and then they'll become farmable. So I mean, it would be 3-4 months probably before we got any sort of legendary event, right? I mean, if they're going the marquee route that they did last time, but that's pretty predictable, right? I mean, that's the exact same thing they did last time. People would be prepared, and there'd be less of a panic. So maybe this post indicates any of those characters you mentioned a few minutes ago, but this character is going to be obtained through this new game mode they've announced, because it is going to be, you know, individual. It sounds like an individual game mode where it's completely up to you if you want to participate, how much you participate, so on and so forth. And you know, this is a business, and to make money out of a game mode like this, they will have to have some reward that's, you know, kind of pushes people to play it, right? Pushes people to gear certain characters they might not gear, push people to make their roster deeper, that sort of thing. Because I mean, as I would love just for it to be simple rewards, you know, just guild event store currency, guild store currency, credits, just simple things would be fine, but that's not going to make you know, the company very much money, because that's not going to encourage everyone to do so. Like I'm just weird, you know. I'm excited about this game mode. This is something I've wanted for a long time. Some sort of tournament like we had. I think we both were big fans of the tournaments.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, it's, I don't know, we'll see. If there is some sort of epic character shards in this new Grand Arena, that's going to make it pretty competitive. You know, way more competitive than just if they're giving away like a raid gearbox. You know, so it'll be interesting to see what develops here. I'd imagine we'll get maybe another couple hints here in the next couple weeks, probably, and maybe a little more information on the Grand Arena itself. Because right now, we don't know how many teams you're supposed to place. We don't know what the rewards are at all. We don't know really anything about the game mode, except it was advertised as a like 1 versus 1 kind of territory war. So that's really all we know. So everything we do is just speculate. I mean, the rewards are going to determine, you know, the popularity of this this game mode, I think.
Absolutely. We really don't know much. You're right, and but I kind of feel like they have to. I feel like they have to introduce some new way to get characters. I don't think it's just going to be, because I mean, you know, they were pretty matter of fact about the fact that they're going to be doing less marquee events, and I feel like that would be a great way to do it. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, I don't see us getting another legendary event really that soon. I don't see us getting. Another, you know, Hero's Journey character that soon. I also don't see us getting a meta-defining character that soon, and that's kind of what my thought process is on this whole thing. Is, I mean, how fantastic could this character be? I mean, are they really going to introduce? Revan is definitely meant to be meta-changing, right? Like, he's definitely meant to come into this game and, you know, flop the meta on its head, and that's what he's done so far. You know, as the meta report indicates, everybody's running Revan. Way more than we initially thought we're ever going to get Revan. But could they really, you know, add another character so soon that instantly, you know, makes a change to the meta? I don't know. I don't know if a Dark Side Bastila would do that. You know, it would be cool to see a Dark Side Bastila. I definitely think we're getting Cartho Nassi. I definitely think we're getting possibly... you know, some more, you know, KOTOR characters. Maybe Mitra Surik, you know, maybe they go out of the box here. Maybe we get like Darth Bane or something like that. I mean, who knows, you know? But, I mean, the phrase from the post indicates that it's going to be somebody who was turned to the dark side, or somebody who was turned to the light side, vice versa. You know what I mean? So... I'm assuming that it'll be somebody that made a switch, and that happened to Darth Malak. Darth Malak was originally a Jedi. He was turned to the dark side. That happened to Revan. It happened to Bastila. That happened to... It happened to Visas Mar. It happened to Kreia, to Dark Treya. So, I mean, there's a lot of characters it could be, but again, I don't see them releasing another version of a character so fast. I mean, we just got Bastila 6 months ago. It'll be a little bit soon, I think, for them to throw out another character or another version of the character so fast. I mean, listen, we do have 5 Hans in the game, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But it just seems like it'd be a little bit soon, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, yes, you know, you're right. But if you think about it, I mean, they released Revan, who is, you know, meta-defining. He is the meta. And I would venture to guess half the player base doesn't even have Treya yet. You know, so, you know, the people that got Treya early, great. You know, that they got their time with Treya. They put the Zetas on her. They got their use out of her. But, like, if your guild is just now completing Sith heroic raid, you know, the heroic Sith raid, you know, you're getting, you know, your coveted prize is now old news in the arena. You know, like it's So I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they brought something out that instantly countered Revan. You know, those that have Revan get 2-3 months of meta play time, and then it's on to the next meta. Now the game does seem to be progressing much faster than what it used to, right? I mean, it's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a possibility that they could decide to go with a new meta right away, but I mean, it just seems a little bit soon. And what do you think about these guys? What do you think about the clone troopers? I mean, do you think anything's happening with them, or do you think that we saw, you know, that it was just going to be a just a kind of like an overhaul to the way they look?
You know, had it not been the Geonosians getting that artwork change without any sort of rework or love at all, I would think it'd be an indication of something to come. But this, you know, this could simply just be an art change like the Geonosians got. You know, they're putting Grievous and they're putting Mace into, you know, these territory war bonuses. This really could be it. It could be a distraction, if you will. Like, oh, the clones got our artwork, so they got to be getting rework, right? And then everybody dumps a bunch of gear into the clones, and then, you know, we end up with, you know, a smuggler's event or something for the clones, like a, you know, monthly event that you have to use the clones in. You know, nowhere near worth investing Zetas and gear into. You know, you're just missing out on a couple resources if you can't beat the final tier. You know, that's, if I had to guess, it's going to be some sort of like monthly event, like the Defense of Dathomir, or like an assault battle, maybe something like that. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, the clones definitely need rework for sure, but we'll see. I mean, I have the clones all Gear 11 from way back in the tank raid days, you know, so I mean, I'm crossing my fingers I can use that Cody Zeta again, but
yeah, I'm about to lose in my first round of Galactic War. I'm about to lose. I don't think this has ever happened. Has Galactic War become that difficult?
I don't know. I've simmed it every day for the last 3 months.
Yeah, me too. I haven't played a Galactic War. I mean, I just lost in the first note of Galactic War to a Gear 8 Hera team, all level 74. Yeah, I mean, my clone troopers must be that bad. Well, yeah, no, I agree. I think it's probably just an artwork change, and that's probably all we're going to see out of it. But it would be nice to see them get a rework at some point. I think we're looking at something being done with the, most likely the Separatists eventually. And as far as KOTOR is concerned, I think it's going to be one of those three characters. It's either going to be Darth Malak, Dark Side Bastila, or a Darth Revan, and definitely 100% Cartho Nassi. He's coming. And if it's just him, I'd be a little bit disappointed with all the hype that they built with this puzzle. You know, because,
well, they did use, like you said, they used the word companion. I think the only companions we're missing from the first game is Karth and Ordo, correct? Those are the only two I think we're missing.
Right.
Is there another one?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, so I would think, you know, that they've never used the word companions before, right? That's a new one.
Right.
You know, not characters, not light side, not dark side, not tunes, you know, no other word. Companions is, and those, I think that's going to be, I do think we're getting Karth and Ordo. I think that's good. I think that's a good guess.
Karth and Ordo makes sense.
Then that would allow, you know, maybe, because then they could bring the Ebon Hawk in, and there could be a multitude of pilots that you could, you know, feasibly kind of, you know, put in there, I guess. I mean, that's just probably going to be like a 3-pilot ship, you know. So, we'll see. I don't know. So much is coming. I don't know. I'm still trying to recover from the Revan, from the Revan panic. But
it'd be cool if they added the Old Republic tag to some other characters with this update too. Like, so when they roll out the update for this new character, you know, I mean, right now I'm playing some battles here with, like, you know, Visas and Mission Vow. I mean, if they made that Old Republic tag a little bit more meaningful by adding, like, let's say HK-47 to that, visas to that. You know, and, you know, obviously whatever character they release, I think that would kind of help a lot too.
Oh, Johnny. Yes, yes. That's another one we missed.
Who's that?
From
Jahani,
the
yeah. Jahani, yeah.
Yeah, from the KOTOR game.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, it's all up to speculation. I mean, it's really too early to tell, you know, what's going to be coming and what's not. But I do feel like it has to be somebody big if they're going to be teasing it like this. They don't typically tease marquee characters. Now, I mean, this could just be a new thing that they're doing, so it's kind of tough to tell. I mean, their behavior has shifted in the past before to kind of change the way they release characters, so it's not totally out of the realm of possibility that the tease could be for a marquee character, but I mean, they didn't tease Jango Fett like that, and that's probably the biggest marquee character that they've ever released. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tough to say right now. I mean, I'd have to say that in all likelihood, if it's going to be a teased character, it's probably going to be a character for some sort of event. So I mean, maybe it's Dark Bastila, maybe it's Darth Malak. As far as the road or the journey for Darth Revan is concerned, down the road, whenever that character does become available, I think it makes a lot of sense for us to have a Darth Malak as a character that you kind of need to attain over time, so that when the time does come down the road where Revan is an attainable character, you can include Malak in that hero's journey. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. Other than the KOTOR characters, though, they did also indicate that they're going to be delving back into the original trilogy and those characters. So, I mean, are we in agreement here that that means C-3PO? Or, I mean, what other options do you think we have here? Let's say it's not C-3PO. What other characters besides the Millennium Falcon and C-3PO could make it into the game?
I mean, I think we talked about this on Friday. I mean, pretty much. I mean, they've got the majority of at least the semi-main characters covered already. I can't, you know, maybe Jabba the Hutt or something like that, but I can't think of really any that aren't. Maybe Lando's little minion. I can't remember his name.
Lobot?
No. He's in the Marvel, or not the Marvel. He's in the Force Arena game.
Huh. I don't know.
Okay, yes, they say Porkins.
Porkins, yeah. I don't think we're getting Porkins, but we're definitely getting C-3PO before Porkins. But I think, yeah, in all likelihood, it's probably C-3PO. Or, I mean, we have Biggs Darklighter already. You know, we have Wedge.
Yeah, Nien Num.
What?
Nien Num.
Okay.
The monkey creature.
Yes. Yes, he could totally be a character that comes into the game at some point, but you know, I foresee him coming more in the game as like a pilot. But
yeah.
You know, and when they mentioned ships coming into the game too, because that's definitely something that they implied there, you know, obviously leaning towards the Millennium Falcon. Another thing that comes to mind for me is the fact that R2-D2 is not part of the crew for he's not part of the crew for Anakin's ship, right? So when Anakin's ship came out, you would think R2-D2 would be part of that crew. So since he wasn't, does that mean that R2-D2 will be part of the crew for Luke Skywalker's X-Wing, which is another ship from the original trilogy that we don't have in the game yet. So I think that it doesn't just mean Millennium Falcon. I mean, we could be looking at Luke Skywalker's X-Wing.
Right.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility
with R2D2 as a crew member.
Yeah, and that would use CLS, or would that need another version of Luke?
Well, I mean, I think CLS could be the pilot for that, but I mean, obviously, you could go either way with that. CLS was a pilot,
yeah.
You know, but he also, I would say yes, because I mean, in the last film, he really wasn't flying. He was more of a, you know, he really went into the Death Star to face Vader directly. So, you know, the film where he's really seen as a pilot is not Return of the Jedi. So, I mean, I think, yeah, like Empire Strikes Back version of Luke, which is CLS, could definitely be the pilot version of Luke if there was one. So, I mean, yeah, I think that it would probably go to CLS before it would go to Return of the Jedi Luke, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, we'll have to see, but I personally think that could be the ship that they're talking about. So, you know, it depends on, obviously, a lot of different variables, but Luke Skywalker's X-Wing is a pretty iconic ship, too. So, you know, we do have several versions of the Millennium Falcon already. Even if that ultimately is the ship that comes out this quarter, if it's the Millennium Falcon, I do think we're getting Luke Skywalker's X-Wing at some point next year, without a doubt. Probably when they release the new version of Luke. But, you know, I mean, Luke is also a carrot, you know, so a lot of people think that when Luke comes to the game, that the game is going to be winding down. So, you know,
well, people think every time we get something, people think the game is winding down.
That's true.
All you have to do is open up the App Store and look at the top, you know, the top earning games. And Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is just firmly planted in the top, you know, 15, 20 every single month.
They are.
You know, like, I mean, if the game is going to disappear, it's going to be, I would imagine it'd be more of like a licensing issue or something of that nature. It's not going to be because no one's purchasing anything in the game. I mean, that's ridiculous. Everyone can open up their App Store and look at how well the game is doing. You know, so, I mean, people like, oh, we got Revan. You know, is that the end of the game? Oh, we got Chewbacca. Is that the end of the game? No. No, it's clearly not.
No, there's still lots of versions. Even if they were to release Return of the Jedi Luke,
they're not going to give us a brand TW type game mode and then shut the game down. You know, I don't think that's.
Even if they were,
I don't know.
Even if they release Return of the Jedi Luke, okay, which is going to probably happen sooner than later, and we get the Jedi version of Luke, there's still lots of other characters from the lore that they could release. But besides that, there's still another version of Luke that they could release after that. You know, his hero's journey is going to go to, you know, Return of the Jedi Luke, and then after that to Old Man Luke. And then after that, we have another possibility, and this is one that I've actually discussed in a video before, possibly Force Ghost Luke, which I think is eventually going to happen to Yoda. Like, I think that absolutely the first Force Ghost that we get in this game will be Force Ghost Yoda. That's my opinion. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I personally feel like if Night Sister Spirit is in this game, then it's not too far of a stretch to imagine that we'll have, you know, a Force Ghost character. We've already seen in the movie that Force Ghost Yoda can actually affect the plane of the game, of the world, right? So, like, he was able to actually summon lightning from the sky in The Last Jedi and destroy the Jedi Temple on Ahch-To. Okay, he was able to burn it down while Luke was going to get the Jedi texts out of it. So, yeah, if he was able to do that, then that means that Force Ghosts can do things here that actually effectiveness. If he can do that, that means that Yoda can actually force push somebody or summon lightning and strike lightning onto somebody. I mean, they can. There's no now that opens a door for possibilities. So, and even if it's just in sort of a similar fashion to the way that Hermit Yoda works right now, where he's able to provide bonuses to the team. I do think eventually we're getting a Force Ghost version of a character. Maybe it'll be Force Ghost Old Ben, Force Ghost Yoda, Force Ghost Luke, Force Ghost Vader. There's a lot of possibilities. I think Force Ghost Anakin, and maybe eventually be able to run a team of 5 Force Ghosts.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I don't see it as impossible. I think that's going to be a progression down the road. I think they'll have a class for that, because at some point they're going to have to get creative with characters, and even though there's a lot of expanded universe stuff, there is going to be some limitations on what Disney will allow them to do. They're definitely not going to always say it's okay to release like Valkorion or Vitiate. I mean, who knows? I mean, that could be the character too. I mean, bear in mind, we're talking about dark side characters turning somebody to the dark side. One that's not really talked about that often is the person that actually turned Revan and Malak to the dark side, which is what Bastila mentions, and that's Vitiate, the original Sith Emperor. Sith Emperor Vitiate turned Malak and Revan to the dark side. So there's a high probability or a high possibility that is also one of the characters that comes in here. And if it is Vitiate, I am opening my wallet again, okay? Because Vitiate is awesome. All right, and that would be a sick character. He was never a playable character in the original series, but I mean, man, that would be so awesome. He is one of the original Sith, from way back in the day, and he was around for thousands of years. And then eventually, in one of the expanded versions of the game, he became a character known as Valkorion, who was the leader of the Empire again later on, and he was the father of the Eternal Twins, the two brothers that fought for the Sith Emperor, and then they, one of them ended up killing the other one, and so whenever you see people mentioning the Eternal Twins, they're talking about Thexan and his brother. So it's definitely a possibility that Valkorion or Vitiate, actually more likely Vitiate, because he's the one that turned Revan and Malak to the dark side. They went looking for the original Sith Emperor, or the Sith Emperor that they heard about, or they heard legends about, and then when they found him, he turned them to the dark side. So he was pretty strong with the Force, and he was around for thousands and thousands of years building the Sith Empire back up for the Sith Wars. So there's definitely a good possibility that when they're talking about characters that have been used as a weapon to be turned from the light side to the dark side, or from the dark side to the light side, that they could be talking about Vitiate. So we'll have to wait and see. That's a strong possibility. Are you hoping for Vitiate, Maurice? Is that your pick?
I'm not hoping for any characters. I got enough to work on already.
You're working on Range Trooper, right?
God, trying. Every time I pluck 5 shards of it, then I gotta get distracted and go somewhere else. I don't even have a 5-star Range Trooper yet. I've been trying to farm him since they put him in there in the hard node. Just like I get to farm him for 3 days, and I'm just like, oh, I gotta switch gears, and then I farm him for another 4 days. Like I'm getting to farm him right now. That's about 3 shards away from 5-star. Then I'm sure I'll have to switch gears again.
Yeah, let's do some. Oh, that deal is done today for the shards from Clone Wars.
The deal. Oh yeah,
that sucks. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that was nice. A lot of people were complaining about that. I don't understand. Like, oh, the drop rates are terrible. Yeah, but they were drop rates that weren't there, beforehand.
They didn't exist.
I mean, I don't understand.
They didn't exist yesterday, so you might as well be happy about it.
I mean, I'll take 45 free shard shop currency. I mean, I'm gonna be farming those slicing materials anyway. I mean, who cares if I get Django or Aura? It's free stuff, I mean, okay, I got a bunch of Count Dooku shards. That's all right. I can convert them to a stun cuff from the shard shop. That's great.
Right.
I'll take it. I'll take anything free they give us.
Right, absolutely.
All day long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to dive into the top 5 here and the meta report. Again, if you guys have any questions or topics you'd like to discuss on the stream for the Q&A segment that we're going to get to right after the top 5, please type them to the chat now. Maurice will start to compile some of those questions, and then we will make sure that we discuss those questions or topics after the top 5 and the meta report, and we'll do the Q&A segment here shortly. So definitely get your questions in. Let's go over here and we'll take a look at the meta report. Now, we did just do this on Friday, and there was not much change. This I took today, but just quickly to kind of go over it here, we see that Jedi Knight Revan has dominantly taken over the pie here, with Emperor Palpatine seeing an even smaller share now. Darth Trey is still holding about a quarter of the meta. I mean, she's a little bit more than that, actually. So she's still a relevant character. There's still a lot of people that didn't make that investment that are rolling with Darth Trey, and they're getting their wins. They're getting first place. So if you did not get Revan, that does not mean that you're completely out of the count here. You can still win with Darth Trey and still get your rank 1 payout, albeit it may be a little bit harder. The effort will reward you with the crystals that you need. Darth Maul is working his way up and is now right behind Emperor Palpatine as the number 4 leader in the arena right now. I think Darth Maul continues to climb. What do you think?
Well, Darth Maul is the answer for a lot of those that just simply can't do it with Trey alone. It's interesting to see him climb so high. I'm trying to see Tarkin. I'm surprised there's only 13 Tarkins on there. That Tarkin team seems like a more feasible one for me. Like if I didn't have Revan, I'd probably roll with the Grand Moff Tarkin Super Fast Thrawn Triumvirate combo. Mother Talzin, there's no Asajj on there. Mother Talzin's another counter. These are all counters. Bastila Shaw is probably on a newer shard. I can only imagine if you're on a shard that you just started the game where Bastila was the first week of the game to get Bastila. I can only imagine how overpowered she is on a new shard. That's incredible.
Oh yeah.
You put your very first Zeta into a Bastila Shawn and you can build a Jedi team. That's tough. You got all the extra protection, all that tenacity against a relatively new shard. That's good. But it's good to see Darth Maul kind of making a comeback. For those that invested in his Zeta early on when he was meta, they've gotten very little to no use out of him outside of maybe a little bit better ship. So it's good to see he's making a little comeback here, keeping the Sith strong.
Keeping the Sith strong. Yeah, no, and I finally saw my first Darth Maul on the shard the other day, so there are people converting back to Darth Maul, and I think he'll continue to grow. I think he'll actually eventually overtake Emperor Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine teams are all but dead at this point. I don't know how people are winning with Emperor Palpatine in arena against Revan or Trey anymore, but apparently there's still some people holding on for dear life to those teams, so that'll continue to kind of be there for a little bit, but I think that Emperor Palpatine is kind of making his way out of the meta here slowly but surely over the next couple of weeks. Mother Talzin, you can still win with the Night Sisters. Night Sisters are the answer to everything. You can win with Night Sisters all the time. If you have the right mods on them and you have the right kill order and you use the team correctly, you can still win. You can still win with a really fast BB-8 and a Rey Jedi training team if you use that team correctly too. Although that's going to be a lot harder. But the best 2 counters out there right now are probably Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Maul. And you can still win with some CLS teams and some Kira teams too if you have them set up correctly as well. But again, we'll see how the meta shakes out over the next few weeks, but it's definitely a Jedi meta right now, as the report indicates. So let's go to the top 10 squad members, and again, not much change here. Grandmaster Yoda is at the top. Jedi Knight Revan, number 2. General Kenobi, Bastila Shan, and Jolee Bindo take up the top 5, respectively. And then we have Darth Nihilus, Darth Sion, Darth Traya, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Emperor Palpatine to round out the end. So basically, the old meta is the bottom 5 of the top 10 squad members, and the new meta is the top 5 of the squad members. So basically, you're looking at them kind of phasing out the old characters over time here. You saw Hermit Yoda was there at number 10 just a few days ago, and Emperor Palpatine seems to have taken over that spot. So that's kind of interesting to me. I don't know why Emperor Palpatine's kind of creeping up over Hermit Yoda, but that's probably due to the fact that more people are noticing that there's a benefit to having Jolee Bindo in the arena over Hermit Yoda as your 5th Jedi, because Jolee Bindo is just amazing, and the more people are getting him geared up and getting a Zeta on Jolee Bindo, I think we'll just continue to see his numbers grow as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's our meta report for this week. We're going to move on to the top 5. And this week we have a top 5 that's relevant to the Road Ahead blog that was just posted on Friday. We're looking at top 5 leaders for the Grand Arena. When that does drop, now again, this is all speculative because we don't know what the parameters are going to be yet for the Grand Arena. We don't know what the rewards are going to be yet for the Grand Arena. But we do know Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and we know that there's leaders that are going to be a part of these teams, and we know that whatever squads you select, having, a good set of leaders to run in the Grand Arena is going to be very important, because you're going to want to have, a certain set of characters that if you don't have right now, you should start to prepare for, because again, this is not going to be a situation where your guild is going to be able to carry you through these battles and get you the rewards that you need. You're going to have to do this on your own, and you're going to have the right teams to be prepared for that. So let's take a look at the top 5 characters that you probably should have to prepare for the Grand Arena. Now, at number 5, who do we have here, Maurice?
These are going to all be leaders for your squads, guys. It's going to be Bosk is number 5. He is. And we tried to keep these both, not just defense, but you could use them both offensively and defensively. Bosk provides massive amounts of survivability to a predominantly squishy faction of the bounty hunters. All the IG-88, Greedo. Yes, Boba Fett and Jango have their revive capabilities, but they're still super squishy. Lots of very fragile characters in that faction, and Bosk gives them gives them recovering health and protection, gives them tenacity, gives them all sorts of stuff. And he alone himself is very, very good. He's the pilot of arguably the best ship in the game right now. With those 2 Zetas, you put some 60 mods on Bosk. Once you guys get that Houndstooth 7-star, that ship is extremely difficult to take out. And I would imagine, just like regular TW, there is going to be a ship element to this Grand Arena. So it kind of helps you out on both fronts there with an excellent pilot and an excellent leader for a big faction. It's a big faction. You got lots of choices to put behind Bosk. You can make 2 bounty hunter teams. Once Jango's farmable, you can make a Bosk team maybe for your defense, and then maybe a Jango offense team. And all these characters tonight, this is not taking in any account any sort of bonuses for the game mode. Like TW, we have the bonus. Like right now, we have Mace and Grievous and the couple mystery characters. This is just going to be a list, just assuming there's no bonuses. Assuming there's no bonuses, so these characters are all going to be just smart, safe investments for the Grand Arena. Bosk being number 5. So
yeah, great leader for the Scoundrels. Some would argue the best, and he's got, obviously being a tank, a huge benefit to that squad, because the Scoundrels have been in need of a decent tank for a long time, and he's also, like you said, the pilot of probably the most coveted ship in the game right now. And if there is a ship element involved with this Grand Arena, because I don't imagine that they're going to go through all that trouble of creating new abilities for ships, and that whole update that they did earlier this year with Ships 2.0, if they weren't going to incorporate that in the new big game mode that they're releasing at the end of the year, because they definitely do plan this stuff all out, I imagine that having the Houndstooth will probably be a very important thing to have. So if you don't have that now, and you don't have Bosk, that's probably something you should start working on in the coming months, so that you're ready and prepared for the Grand Arena when it comes. But moving along...
Go ahead. Move on.
What were you going to say?
I would say Bosk makes getting Chewbacca super, much easier too. So, if you haven't got Chewbacca yet, you're working on your bounty hunters. Bosk is the answer for that event.
Right, exactly. So, he does benefit you in a lot of different ways. So, he's definitely a character you want to have on your radar. That's our number 5 character, or number 5 leader for the Grand Arena. Moving along to our number 4 leader for the upcoming Grand Arena, we're looking at Kira. So, if Bosk isn't the best leader for Scoundrels, then it's definitely Kira. Kira adds a lot of great abilities. She has the ability to call in for assist, and she does also Dispel. Her leader ability is arguably better than Bosk's. And also, definitely can help out, some of the other characters that are very popular in the Scoundrel faction that have come out this year. This year has been the year of the Scoundrels, so we also got, Enfy's Nest and all of the prepared characters as well, so she synergizes well with them also. So there's a lot of benefits to having a Kira lead. She's definitely somebody that's easily attainable as well out of the Cantina nodes, so she's somebody that should be on your radar for the Grand Arena, because she also is probably the best defensive leader for the Scoundrels as well. What do you think, Maurice?
Well, Grand Arena aside, this is a character you should have on your radar already. She's just versatile. She's a Scoundrel, and her lead applies to all Scoundrels. It gives them protection regeneration when they crit hit, but then also gives them stacking elements, like a support character such as Cad Bane as a support. Every time he crits, he gets extra speed. He can get up to 60 speed. Tanks get up to, I think it's 60% crit avoidance, and attackers can get up to 30% offense. And that applies to Scoundrels, and all the bounty hunters are Scoundrels too. And when you include all the bounty hunters, I think the Scoundrels are now the second largest faction in the game, behind the Rebels, right? And they might even have passed the Rebels with the inclusion of the bounty hunters. I'd have to look, but there's just a massive pool of characters there, and she is the ultimate leader for such a large faction. Pretty good character too. Does some health, max health percent base damage. If she's prepared, she does an AOE dispel. She can call in. She has an assist. All sorts of stuff in her kit. Very good. Kind of a squishy character, but a very good character that you can just throw tons of characters behind. 20, 30 characters in the game now probably have this Scoundrel tag, and you can just throw all of them benefit from her leadership. It'll help you on defense and TW. It'll help you on offense, whatever you need, or Grand Arena rather. Just a great character. Kind of a pain to gear. She is difficult to gear, especially get to gear from 11 to 12. She's pretty greedy with the stun guns and the Carbonis, but it's worth it. I'm really glad I invested in this character myself. So
yes,
it's one you guys should consider.
Yes, and Warhol is correct. I do need to work on my Kira. She's only Gear 7, but I did get her the 7 stars recently, so I am working on her. I'm also working on Bosk, as you can see. I'm farming him and getting him to 7 stars probably in the next few days, and I'm going to have him at Gear 12 soon as well. So that's my gear priority right now, is Bosk, and then possibly Kira after that. Bosk is somebody I really want to have prepared for this upcoming game mode as well. So now moving along to our number 3 character in the Grand Arena, the number 3 leader of the Grand Arena. We're looking at Asajj Ventress. Now, I know this is totally a homer pick here for good old Maurice. But why?
You can sub in Mother Talzin here, whichever.
So
whichever they did, fine. But defensively, Asajj is a lot better than Towson. That's the only reason I chose her over Mother Towson, just because offensively you can make a case Mother Towson is better. But these teams, the Night Sisters, you can throw any combination of them together, whichever 5 you have, you mod them appropriately, they can beat pretty much everything. They are the answer to everything, with the exception of maybe they do struggle a bit against Traya, but with some practice, and right now it's the middle of the Revan meta, so you guys have all day, every day to practice your Night Sister counter. Night Sisters are a counter to Revan. It just takes some practice. It takes a little bit of it will take probably some 6E like health primaries to do so, but it can be done. It can be done consistently. You just have to have the team set. But Night Sisters are definitely a faction everyone should have. They kind of fell off a little bit. You know, that they were the meta. Then Trey came out, and they kind of, you know, were an afterthought. But they are for a game mode like this, for a game mode like TW, they are essential. They're going to help you in all areas of the game. The raid, they are still probably the best team for P3, P4, whatever you use them in for the raid. They're you click auto on Dark Side TB and just march right through it. They're a great faction. Asajj, again, Mother Towson, you can set it in here. If you have the Mother Towson Zeta and you like it, just use it. You don't need Asajj's leadership. She just kind of represents the Night Sister faction as a whole here in the third.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, Asajj is interchangeable with Mother Towson. I mean, she's 50-50 on the meta report. And the thing is that either way you go, the Night Sisters are a faction that you're going to want to have for TW or Grand Arena offense and defense. They are absolutely a team that can beat any other team. So if you're, let's say, in a situation where you just already utilized a group of characters to take out, let's say, a meta team, like let's say you already use your Revan team to take out another Revan team or to take out a Darth Traya team, now you're going to have to figure out how to beat the other teams with what you have left on your roster, and a wild card that you can always use to take out almost any team in the meta is the Night Sisters, hands down. I mean, with that revive factor, with the Mother Towson lead, or even with the offense and turn meter bonuses you get from Asajj Ventress lead, you're definitely not doing any wrong with this team. You have, old Dako on that squad as well, and, with the rework to Night Sister Zombie, you definitely have a really great squad there that you can utilize for both TW and the Grand Arena, and this team can absolutely get you through a battle with almost any team on the board. So if you're looking at a high priority team for the Grand Arena, this is it. If you don't have Asajj Ventress at 7 stars, gear 12, if you don't have Mother Towson at 7 stars, gear 12, you need to do that right away. So these are characters that are going to get you in the right place and have you prepared for the Grand Arena so you can take down any of the teams that you come across. Again, mods will always be a factor, but you have to have the teams or the characters to even play the game or to be a part of it. So you got to definitely have a Night Sister squad, a very competent Night Sister squad, and that'll help you in a lot of areas of the game as well. So that's our number 3 leader for the Grand Arena. Looking at our number 2 leader for the Grand Arena, who do we have? Darth Traya. So
okay, I didn't know if you were waiting on me. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, Darth Traya is our number 2 leader for the Grand Arena, and I think this kind of goes without saying that Darth Traya is by far the second best leader in the game right now. So again, you're talking about a character that has dominated the meta for the last 6 months. She is slowly getting pushed to the wayside because of the recent acquisitions of Jedi Knight Revan, but she is still a very, very meta-defining character, a character that can take out Revan teams, a character that can take out other Traya teams, a character that can take out Night Sister teams. I mean, with a Darth Traya lead and the rest of the Sith Triumvirate, you can pretty much take on any other team in the game if you play your cards correctly. So, again, with any of these choices that you make, with any of these characters that you have, you still have to have good mods, or you still have to try to have the best mods that you can on these squads, and then you have to be able to choose the order in which you attack the other team correctly based upon their mods as well. So I would advise that no matter what teams you're going into the Grand Arena with, you definitely take a look at the mods of your opponent before you go into battle and make sure that your team is up to snuff for that battle. So, again, you may have your mods locked at that point, and that may be the case, but you definitely want to make sure that you continue to work on that, and definitely work on getting your Darth Traya. Obviously, she's a harder character to attain in this game because she's only available through the Sith Triumvirate raid, through the Heroic Sith raid. But for those of you that are just getting to that point where you're clearing Heroic Sith, I would then start to prioritize those Heroic Sith teams so you can get those Traya shards as fast as possible. Because again, when you get to that Grand Arena, it's going to be all a one-on-one individual-based thing. You're not going to have help from your teammates, so you're going to have to perform well there in order to get the rewards. And if the rewards are either another character or gear or anything like that, if you're not winning those battles or performing well in the Grand Arena, you're going to be falling behind in comparison to people that are.
Oh, yeah. Well, we looked in the meta report. We saw Darth Maul rising. Darth Maul being the leader, and with Traya behind him, can counter Revan. So in pretty much Traya, you're seeing some high-end guilds now. They don't place Traya defensively anymore. They keep them on offense because Traya can both absolutely everything. Traya, you might have to switch some pieces around, but Traya can counter every single team in this game. And I imagine she'll be able to do so for quite some time. You might have to shuffle some pieces, reorganize your mods a little bit from, when you used her in Arena. But she's going to remain a staple in this game for a very, very long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so let me move on now to our number one character for the Grand Arena. I'm pretty sure that you guys all know who this is. What do you think, Maurice?
Let's go with probably Jedi Knight Revan.
Yes, you're winner, chicken dinner. So why is he the number one character to have for the Grand Arena?
Because he's the best lead with Jedi right now in the entire game. It's the kit. I mean, all you have to do just open up any of his abilities, and then make yourself a nice cup of coffee and sit down and read it for the next 15 minutes. Like he does so much. He just so much. He does. Not a big damage dealer, not the tankiest character, but just what he brings to the table with that direct focus, forcing the taunt, the buff immunity, reducing cool, giving all he's got his R2D2 type number crunch buff with his Zeta on the unique. He just gives the tenacity, crit damage, all the goodies, the max health, max protection, just so much. He has an AoE, he has a heal move for the whole team. He's got assist moves. He does so much. He just does basically all the best moves in the game. They combined into one kit into this Revan, and we saw it on the meta report. I mean, he was behind a paywall. There was absolutely no way you could get Revan unless you were just an extreme, hoarder and had 20,000 crystals just hanging out. There's no way you could get Revan without some sort of financial investment, and we saw him instantly jump to over about half of the pie, like within 2 weeks.
Right.
That's
right.
I mean, that's not only is it the investment you had to make to get the character. I mean, he wasn't super easy to gear. You have to get him to gear 12. You have to put the Zetas on him, and all these people have done it in a matter of 2 weeks. So it's because he is that good. He is the best character, faction-oriented character in the game. So
yeah,
if you guys,
some people still think that Grand Admiral Thrawn's the best character in the game, but I personally don't think so myself. You know what I mean? But that's everybody has their own opinion.
He's phenomenal. I mean, there's no way you can say Revan sucks. I mean, there's no. Whether you like him or not, whether you have him or not, if you climb every day and you don't have Revan, there's no. I mean, it's clear that he's difficult to beat. Like, I have Revan, and I still lose. You know, like I have Revan, I'm going against other Revan teams, and it's not automatic. You know, I'm having to refresh arena every day. You know, just at least to get a couple more battles in, because I will lose 1, 2, sometimes 3 or 4 on the climb. So yeah, he's extremely frustrating, especially with Jolie. Oh man.
Now he is absolutely the most meta-defining character that we've had in quite some time. I know some people thought differently when he first dropped, but the fact is that this is a character that everybody has wanted for a long time. This is my favorite character in the lore. As he is many others, and this is a character that, you know, basically can make the Jedi basically a fantastic defensive and offensive team. And when you're talking about teams you're going to be setting for Grand Arena, whether it's on defense or offense, you're going to want to have teams that can basically withstand an onslaught. Okay, now a Revan team with a Jolie Bindo with a Zeta can be a very annoying team to fight, especially if you have another Revan, because you can almost get timed out for sure if you have the right mods on that team, because you're just going to keep going. Bindo is going to keep reviving, and it's going to be a tough battle to win. And even if you do get to the point where you start to take out some characters, it can get to the point where you run out of time and you just can't finish it within the time allotted in the battle. And since we all have 5 minutes to do it, this is a character that is a fantastic defensive team, a fantastic offensive team, and he adds so much value to the Jedi overall, whether he's a leader or as a character that you use on the side. I do recommend you use him as a leader, but for those of you that don't necessarily have the Zeta on there yet, you can still win on offense against other teams with a Bastila Shan lead and Revan as a character on the side. Now, for those of you that have not attained Revan yet, I would say that obviously getting him at this point is not possible, but he's definitely somebody that should be on your radar for the next time his event comes around. So you should be farming Bastila, Jolie, Mission, Zalbar, and T3, so that when that time does come, you're prepared. And I would prepare the Zetas, I would prepare the gear, and have it all ready so that when that time does come, you can jump right on the opportunity and get this guy to gear 12 and have all the Zetas prepared for him, because every single Zeta helps, every single Zeta is worth it, and that's very difficult to say because that's never happened before in this game, where I could say, even when CLS dropped, I still don't have my Zeta on CLS's leader yet, because I feel like it's not necessarily as awesome as, let's say, putting a Zeta on some other characters in the game. With Revan, every single ability that he has is worth a Zeta. And that's
I know that for a fact, because I went nuts on that scoundrel team and put Zetas on, you know, pretty much every scoundrel I had, and Revan came out and I only had one Zeta for Revan, and it was almost not worth. It's super hard to beat teams. Like, the Zetas do mean so much. My one Zeta Revan, and I would have better mods than some of the teams. I just could not beat them. Those 3 Zetas, that direct focus Zeta, I put it on about 3 days ago, and the difference is crazy. I mean, I'm not struggling as much anymore. So it's, yeah, have everything ready, like you said. Just have it ready to go in the bank.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's move on to our honorable mention. And as some of you have already said in the chat, yes, it's CLS. So, I mean, Commander Luke Skywalker, what else can he say? I mean, he is a character that can take on a whole team by himself in some cases. Okay, he has the ability to dispel. He gets his rebel allies to counterattack. He can stun with a basic attack. He reduces turn meter. He gains 100% turn meter with a special, dispels all of the negative status effects on himself, and then gains protection. I mean, the guy is just a beast, okay? And he adds so much value to the Rebel faction, and being that the Rebels have been kind of out of the meta for a little while now, he can bring them into the meta to help you defeat any of the opponents that you have. So again, having a CLS lead, even though it may be out of style at the moment, it can help you win some of the battles against teams like like your like Night Sisters, like let's say the First Order squads that you're probably going to see out there in the Grand Arena, because people are going to be running. They're going to be running Kylo Ren unmasked teams. They're going to be running KRU teams. They're going to be running Sith teams. They're going to be running Jedi teams. They're going to be running Rebel teams. They're going to be running all different types of squads. So bear in mind that even though you know, the CLS may not be at the top of the meta at the moment, that doesn't mean that he's not going to be a valuable member of your roster, or a valuable character to have when it comes to the Grand Arena, because we're not just going to be using our meta characters in that battle. You're going to have to dig deep into your roster and find characters that are going to be able to beat other teams. And he is a character that adds so much value. He's by far the best rebel in the game, and he adds you know, a ton of damage and also versatility to the rebel squad.
Well, you know, in this honorable mention slot, it was either going to be him or JTR. And all of these characters that we've listed here pretty much complete a faction. JTR is, yeah, you put her with BB-8, you put her with, you know, maybe R2-D2, but she doesn't, I mean, you can't just, I mean, you have to use BB-8s with Jedi Training Ray, right? Like, you don't have to use, it's a pretty set team with JTR. Commander Luke Skywalker won here because you have this great character in Chewbacca. And what better way to utilize Chewbacca with a countering lead? Like CLS, Han, and Chewbacca can counter pretty much everything. Maybe Revan it struggles against, but Trey, it's slaughtered. I mean, that CLS, Han, and Chewie are my Trey killers for TW. I mean, just marches, just stomps them. You know, I mean, Chewbacca is an incredible character, but you do have to kind of build. He's not really a plug and play per se. You do have to kind of tweak your mods a little bit and put him in a team, build a team around him. And CLS is a great option, probably the best option leader-wise for that character. So, yes.
Yeah, and I think that somebody who's kind of fallen under the shadow of Revan because of the fact that he was released so close to Revan is Chewbacca. I mean, Chewbacca is a fantastic character, and we've kind of stopped talking about him over the last few weeks because, you know, obviously probably the best character in the game was released right after him. But, I mean, Chewie with a CLS is a great team. So it's a squad that was defeating Traya teams right before Revan came out. Now, obviously, that meta change kind of shifted right away because, you know, we got Chewbacca and then all of a sudden we got, you know, Jedi Knight Revan right away. But I think that for some of us out there that have Chewie in the inventory just kind of sitting there, you know, having CLS and Chewie together could be a great combination to have for the Grand Arena. That's why he's here. But that is our top 5 for this week. And if you like that kind of thing, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. But we are going to move on to some more gameplay now. And we're going to do our questions and answers like we typically do at this time of the stream. So, Maurice, have you compiled any questions for us? Anything interesting, anything awesome, any topics that people want to talk about? Again, if you guys have any...
Yeah, we got lots of them. We got lots and lots of questions.
If you guys have any topics you'd like to discuss, now is the time. So please do type those topics into the chat, and Maurice will, you know, make sure we try to get them before the end of the stream.
We do have a fellow game changer, Spartan EZ, lurking in the chat. So if you guys are unfamiliar with him, be sure to check him out on Twitch. I posted the link earlier. Pretty good, it's a great stream, good guy, pretty knowledgeable about the game. Just a fun time. So he's lurking, I think, still. So hey, Spartan.
Spartan. When I first started, because we're streaming on Twitch right now as well. When I first started streaming on Twitch, I mean, he just, you know, I had no idea how Twitch worked. I mean, I've only done YouTube, so I was never really a Twitch guy. And he spent the time. I mean, he didn't have to. You know, he has a life. He's got kids and his own life too. And he's spent the time to sit down with me and kind of explain how it worked and how to set that up. And you know, I really thank him for that. So you know, I appreciate having him here and checking us out.
All right, so question time. We've got the first question. From Ryan Blue Thunder. What would y'all recommend for Zeta Order? Revan's direct focus? Already have his... Okay, let me start over. He's already got Revan's leadership's Zeta. And then, well, this is probably the most popular question in all the community now. Revan's direct focus next, or Jolie's Zeta? Like, he's got he has one Zeta on the leadership of Revan for his Jedi team. Should he go Jolie next, or should he do Revan's direct focus next? I guess a lot depends.
That's tough to say. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking
if you have Hermit Yoda, I would probably. I actually did Jolie's Zeta second, and it actually hurt me because that, like I mentioned earlier, I put that direct focus on Revan 2 or 3 days ago, and I can see a noticeable difference. And Jolie has nothing to do with that. It said I would, if you have Hermit Yoda developed, or if you have some Jedi depth developed, I would do direct focus. I think I've changed my mind on that. I think 2 weeks ago I would have told you to do Jolie next because of that revive. But I mean, if if they mark Jolie and take out Jolie first, then you have no backup. Like that direct focus, just a cooldown reduction, and if you on certain characters it will stun them. You can't stun Revan, but I would go direct focus and then use your Hermit Yoda if you have him in the meantime, or somebody like Ezra or another Jedi, at least to climb. It's a lot easier to climb than it is to hold, but you're going to need them both. So whatever way you decide to go, in the end, in a month from now, it's good. You're gonna have the same results. So I don't know.
Yeah, I actually agree with you 100%. I think that that if you have the ability to run Hermit Yoda in the meantime, I would say that's the way to go, and then focus on direct focus after that. You know what I'm saying? Even though they're both great abilities, I feel like direct focus is going to benefit you probably most at first, and then afterwards, Jolie Bindo is probably going to be more important at that point. So
yeah, and again, this is something, I mean, I've actually experienced personally the last couple weeks of Arena, and I think I've kind of changed my tune on that since I've gone through it. So yeah, again, just whatever. I mean, it's if you've got Jolie and you're itching to use them, put the Zeta on them. I mean, you're gonna have them all at the end of the day anyway. So he's got another question here, Ryan Blue Thunder. I wonder if I'll need to farm rank Wedge in case he's needed for a Red 5 Luke. Do you think we'll need Wedge for a Red 5 Luke?
What he means is the
ship, yeah.
So
I wouldn't think so.
No,
I mean,
I don't think so.
Because he's already got a ship. I mean, I guess maybe you might have to use Wedge's ship to obtain that ship, perhaps. I mean, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
don't really know.
I would say Wedge will be a character you need again, but I don't think it's going to be for Luke. I think Luke is going to be a character that you need for. I don't think that ship is going to be a legendary ship. I think that they're going to release it to probably. Oh Jesus! Timed out with this battle.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, like these Revan teams, it's not a quick. You're not gonna go in there and just dust a team in 45 seconds. Like you're sitting there talking and stuff. Like you got to really pay attention. Like
that was
Revan.
So annoying. I mean, it was like every time I decided I made a mistake and I went for Darth Sion first, and I should have known better and just went for Nihilus, and I was already working on Sion, so I was like, I'm gonna just take him out real quick, and then he ended up getting what's that called? Not pain. He ended up getting that ability with the hand over his head, whatever it's called. I'm sorry, it escapes my mind right now. It's hatred. So he ended up getting hatred, and then I sat there and I was like, Oh man, so I wasted all this time. Like he was about to die, and then he gets hatred, of course. Like literally, this happens with Scion all the time. Like you're about to kill Scion, he's got like this much health left, and all of a sudden his turn meter bar, you know, goes crazy. He gets hatred, and then everything that you just did was a big waste of time. And now you're already behind the 8-ball with Nihilus, and then the whole time you're going after Nihilus after that. You know, every time he does an AoE, Nihilus gets full health again. So it's just like a, you know. Anyway, yeah. So going back to what we were saying, yeah, I think that going for Jolie should be secondary to going for Revan Zetas. That's for sure.
All right, let's see. My eyes are going out of me here. Hans Omar von Harold Duarte. I'm struggling with the HAAT dynamic. I have the Wampinator team, but can't find the best way to get to the 7th hit on Grievous by CLS. Is there any tips or way I could know the order of turns? The best thing to do is just hold your hands out. Every time you hit Grievous, just put a finger down. That's what that's literally what I did. It takes a lot of practice. Yeah, and you got to watch closely. If you're struggling with it, try it on 1x or 2x speed. That way you can see. I mean, you see the counters. It's going a little slower. It's a little easier to keep up with. And you want to utilize the ads. You know, you want to keep the ads around so you have something to hit. Because you know, Han Solo will hit twice, and you know, if Grievous is on the 6th hit and it's Han Solo's turn, you're gambling. Yes, you'll hit him with the 7th time. Maybe you'll take some turn meter away, then you'll hit him again, and you just keep the ads alive and try to just hit Grievous. That's the safest way. Just hit Grievous with CLS only, and then just try to keep up with it. And just every time it's the 7th hit, you want to try to use CLS's special if it's available, because it'll do the buff block. But just CLS's basic attack in general will remove turn meter. It takes a lot of practice, man. I don't know really what else to say. Just slow it down. Use 2x speed and just literally count. Go super slow, and eventually it just becomes second nature. We've been doing a long time, just even with the Dachka teams. The Dachka and,
it's not easy.
And Han.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's tough. But once you get it, you're like, and then it's second nature. Unfortunately, it is something you have to do constantly. It's never P1. I don't think it's ever going to be like autoable. Like if you're trying to, you know, solo the whole raid, I think you always have to physically play P1. If somebody can do it on auto, you're better than me. I've tried. It doesn't work, but yeah, just practice. You know, if your guild isn't flying through it, you know, just maybe you practice a couple times, get in there. If you set them off, retreat, try again. You'll get it, man. You've been asking questions about this tank team for a while, and you'll get there. You're getting it. It sounds like you got the team ready now. I know you were asking about the team a couple weeks ago. Sounds like you got the team ready. Now it's just the mechanics. So put as much offense as you can on Wampa, and you'll just storm through the rest once you get through P1. P1's the hardest part in P2.
Practice makes perfect. That's how it is.
That's right. Corey Dallemeyer. How many defensive squads do you speculate we'll need for the Grand Arena? Will it vary based on GP?
I think that you'll probably need how many teams is it? You're probably going to need at least, I would say, like 4 defensive squads.
I would think at least 4, yeah, because I mean that's kind of the standard now for TW, right? Like everybody in the guild's responsible. If everyone puts 4 teams down, that fills the board.
Right.
Will it vary based on GP? It should. It really should, because I mean, if Ramon and I only have to place 4 defense teams, we have, you know, just ridiculous amounts of teams left for offense. But you know, a newer player, they don't have super depth. Like if they place 4 teams on defense, it's gonna be tough to come up with any sort of offensive answer for anything. That's a good question. I hope it does kind of scale, because that would be the best way, I think.
Agreed.
Well, again, lots of stuff to see about that. Just as how the matchmaking is going to work, if it's going to work properly, you know, in this, because that would play. I mean, if we have to field 10 defensive teams, you know, like, oh well, You know, I've got 4 or 5 good ones, and then I have to keep stuff for offense. So you're probably just going to throw in some trash. You know, I mean, we'll see. But I think it's a safe bet to really, really work on 4 solid defensive teams and 4 solid offensive teams, just like you do for TW. So that would be a good way to be semi-prepared. If it's a lot more teams, then, you know, again, this first couple of Grand Arenas, maybe toss in some junk just to fill the space, just to make sure you got enough for offense.
Agreed.
Oh, God, I hope it's not 10 teams. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy, yeah. That's not happening.
All right, GK3. I'm having the same problem with range trooper farming. What do you think potentially could distract us next?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this always happens. That's kind of the name of the game, is like, you know, what's the next thing that's going to come out that's going to prevent us from doing our passion farms. So, you know, we all have passion farms, okay? We all have things we want to get. And I promise you, as soon as Jango Fett becomes attainable, that's going to be my passion farm. But the thing is that, you know, that's part of the game. I mean, there's always going to be something next that comes out that kind of throws us for a loop and makes us change our priorities. And I think that the next thing that comes will probably be this this new character whenever he gets released. So I mean, depending on what that is, if it's another.
Well, you know, I think that the really only thing we have left that would be a panic farm would be like Django, Imbo, or a Sing. Maybe for the Millennium Falcon, we'll need these bounty hunter ships. That would be a panic farm, because that means we would have to farm, you know, Cad Bane's ship, IG-88 ship, and the Houndstooth out of wherever they end up going when they're farmable. So that would be a panic farm of sorts that would distract me.
Right.
Because I mean, you gotta get that Millennium Falcon, right?
Gotta get.
I mean, I got Chewbacca.
Gotta get the Falcon.
I have Han. Hopefully, it's the Han we need and not some new Han. But I don't know. It could be something we don't even know it's coming yet. You know, maybe another batch of Marquis. Maybe, you know, who knows? They totally threw me off guard with Chewbacca in the first place.
It depends on, again, you know, if the character that they're teasing is tied to a long-term event, kind of like we're talking about here, where maybe it's a character that's tied to the Grand Arena, or a character that's tied to, let's say, some sort of bi-weekly event, or something that they do, like they tried to do with Mother Talzin and the other Night Sisters last year, I would say that then whatever characters are necessary for that will become the priority. But if not, then we may have a little bit of time here to kind of farm the characters that we want, a little bit of reprieve, and then as we get into as we get into the Grand Arena and find out what that is and, you know, what's necessary for that, I mean, you know, our priorities may change based on that. I mean, ultimately, you're going to want to take a look at what's going to get you to get the best rewards in the game right now. And if farming a character because you just like the way he looks, or you're just a fan of the character, is holding you back from a priority to get you better rewards, then that's going to have to you're going to have to start to think about the fact that you're kind of holding yourself back because you're going for Range Trooper instead of, let's say, going for Bosk, because Bosk is going to help you better in Grand Arena. So that's the way you got to look at it.
All right, let's see. Another question from Ryan Blue Thunder. Since I now have both Revan and Bastila's leadership Zetas, are there 2 separate Jedi team recommendations for each of them for TBTW? Or would it be best just to keep them together? You know, Revan is a pain defensively. There are Jedi, enough Jedi to field 2 feasible teams. You know, a defense, maybe you could go Revan, Ezra, Kanan, you know, Ayla, and I don't know, Jolene. That would be a pain defensively for TW. Then you'd have Bastila, the Yodas, and then whoever you have left for offense. So, I mean, or you could, you know, I guess it depends on your GP. if you're very, very high GP and in a very, very large guild, you probably have enough depth to field your arena team on defense. If you're in
I was thinking, just hear me out here. Revan lead, Bastila, Zeta Barris, Zeta Jolie, and Zeta Hermit Yoda.
I forgot all about Barris. Yeah, you got Barris in the mix there.
How you gonna beat that team? You're never gonna beat that team.
Because you don't have your. Yeah.
You're never going to win on offense with that team. You'll never beat anybody with that team. But they're not going to be able to beat you in the time it takes to win that battle. They're not going to be able to beat you in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Especially if you make
it's the only problem.
Especially if you make him super fast and super tanky.
I love Kanan, but he is atrocious in this Revan meta. If you guys look at his stats, his resistance is awful. And all these characters do special offense, right? The special damage. He just gets melted. I hate it. I was so looking forward to countering Kanan. He counters, he gets the protection back. But the Grandmaster Yoda just goes in there and one-shots him. It's like, ugh. It's you got no protection against Yoda. Ayla is a character for the very, very old players that a lot of us have that fits very nicely under Revan because she does counter. She's semi-tanky. She stuns. She assists, or she calls random assists. So she's a nice piece to have for depth. Is she meta? Should you gear her immediately? Probably not. But if you have her, she definitely has some use.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Don't gear Ayla yet unless you don't have to. Now one day she may get a rework. And when that day happens, yes, because all
she needs is some damage. If she did some damage, she'd be lethal under Revan. But she just kind of, she's a support character, right? She's not supposed to go in there and crit for 80k. Like she goes and does her little 15, 20k crits with a chance of a stun, which is in TW or Grand Arena, that could be very useful because they're not going to have, their Revans. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not really sure if you should feel. I don't know. Like in our guild, I'm unsure if we should split up our Jedi teams. Some guys keep for offense and some guys keep for defense. I'm not sure the best play for that yet.
Her kit is pretty good as is. It just happens to be, like you said, that she doesn't do any damage. But her kit is still. It's kind of one of the kits that's kind of stayed pretty well over the years. Her kid has managed to, you watch Jurassic Park these days, and it still stands the test of time. Jurassic Park still looks good for a movie from the 90s, unlike some other ones. Ayla Secura has stood the test of time. She's still a character that has a decent kit. It's just that she doesn't do any damage. That's really the main thing, like you said. So I agree 100%.
Okay, Jay Swizzy Swole asks, will they do TW or will they do bonuses for certain characters in the Grand Arena? I would say yes. Maybe not characters. TW, they do give the bonuses to the Scoundrels, to the Bounty Hunters, to the First Order, to Resistance. I would imagine that Grand Arena would have some sort of boost to probably less desirable characters. They gotta force your hand a little bit. Like you gotta farm something. Like you gotta gear up some guys you might not normally gear. I would assume there's going to be some sort of bonuses for characters.
I'd say yes as well.
That makes it fun, but it does make it frustrating at the same time. Like if let's say this Grievous and Mace and Mystery character, or maybe that's why the clones got their artwork. Maybe the clones are going to be the faction that have the boost in this Grand Arena. That's a possibility. So and not if you played the game less than a year and a half, 2 years, chances are you do not have your clones because you haven't needed them. There's no reason you should have clones unless you were playing the game when the tank raid was very first released. There's really no reason to have them. But that's kind of frightening now that I think about it. that could be it. We can finally, maybe the Separatists maybe Separatists and Galactic Republic. Maybe that's the factions that will have, who knows? Now I say that out loud, it does seem feasible.
It does, yeah.
It's like a lazy way to make use of those factions. Let's see here. Thomas Willingham. When using Aura Sing in P3, do you need Zeta Imbo, or can you use another bounty hunter? Unfortunately, there's a lot of questions about Aura and stuff in the chat. Unfortunately, I know very, very little about this P3 team. Do you know much about the P3 Aura team?
Well, what's the question?
Basically, just asking if they're trying to run the Aura Sing team for P3, do they need a Zeta Imbo?
I don't know much about this team either, so I don't want to give any misinformation. But
the best advice I can give you there are the rest. Let me see.
Who made the team? Is it like a Skeletorix team?
Scores a critical hit during the turn, they gain offense up for 1 turn. And then I don't know, man. I unfortunately can't help you much there. But I think Nuka's got a video. Skeletorix probably has a video. He's got all the good raid stuff. Check McMull's channel. These guys are typically your raid, the real savvy raid guys. If you haven't already watched the videos, I know very, very little about Aura. There was a question: are we farming Aura Sing hard? Are you farming Aura out of Cantina?
Right now, no. I am gonna go for her right after I'm done with this farm, but I'm like in the middle of working on L3, and I happen to believe in my heart of hearts that General Grievous is getting a rework sooner than later. And when that happens, I think it's going to have a little bit to do with droids. So even though it may be a separatist overhaul, I feel like he's going to benefit the droids in some way. And I think L3 is a character that could be really valuable for a droid team. So I'm kind of getting ready for the possibility of it. I love droids. So, I mean, I'm just getting ready for the chance to, put together a decent droid team with General Grievous and... L3 if possible. I mean, I see. I mean, my General Grievous is almost ready. I mean, I have him at gear 10. I could get him to gear 11 real quick. I mean, if we found out tomorrow he was going to get a rework, I'd have him at gear 12 in a couple of days. So,
yeah. Let's see. There was one. Blah 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 blah. Do we have 7-star clones? Unfortunately, yes. I have all the clones. 7-star gear 11 from my P4 tank raid days. Good old Princess Zodi. If you guys ever want a throwback into the Galaxy of Heroes timeline, just look up Princess Zodi. That used to be the go-to for the tank raid.
Absolutely.
And I did gear 12 5s and Clone Sergeant for their ship. I like their ships a lot. It looks like, once we get our hands on Anakin, I think this Mace kind of Galactic Republic fleet will be a decent fleet to have. The Anakin ship that thing's a real deal. Just unfortunately, it's, super squishy at 3 stars. Like, it gets taken out by like a basic attack squishy. They did say no General Grievous rework the other day. I think they said this quarter, I believe. So... they didn't say no Grievous rework. They just said not right now.
Yeah, and I think that there's some misdirection going on, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, anybody that's played this game longer than 6 months knows there's always misdirection, right?
Yeah.
There's always misdirection. Some people get mad about it. I've come to get used to it. I mean, this is a game. I don't know.
I think that they were going to level up or increase General Grievous. I think that they did update his look in the game, and I think that sooner rather than later, General Grievous is getting some love. So I mean, if that comes in the form of like a total separatist rework and it doesn't happen until next year, then that's fine. I mean, I am perfectly capable of waiting for that. But I definitely do want to be prepared for that whenever it comes, because I love General Grievous, and I definitely want to run a viable General Grievous team. So whenever that time comes, I'm going to get some droids ready. I'm going to get some separatists ready, and I'm going to be prepared for that. So maybe it'll be first quarter next year, or maybe it'll be middle of next year. But I'm gonna start getting ready for it now.
A lot of questions about Aura and this P3 team. I mean, Aura Singh is the last character I really have out of Cantina. I am farming her, but I'm not refreshing Cantina. Like, all of my crystals, I mean, I do 50, 50, 50, 100, 100, 100 on mod slicing. And then I do like one refresh on normal and regular energy just to get my 600s. I'll get Aura. She's the last character in there. I think I've got her at 4.5 star. I'm just slowly, 3 shards a day, just farming her. I'll get there. I got a pretty good raid setup now. If the guys in the guild start going crazy and start, crushing me in the raid, then I might change my tune and speed the farm up a little bit.
Yeah.
But right now, I can get top 10. So I don't feel the need to, because like I said, Revan drained everything I had: gear, crystals, Zetas, Omegas, just everything. I'm trying to stock up a little bit.
You name it.
To be a little more prepared for the next one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's most of the questions, man.
All right. Well,
real chatty tonight. If I missed a couple guys, I apologize.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as the Aura Singh stuff goes, I just want to kind of throw this out there. Again, she's still not somebody I really worked with very much. Again, she came out as a marquee character, and we did a stream once where we kind of used her in the raid for a little while with Han. Young Han, and we just kind of played around, and it was kind of fun to see how much damage she did. But I think that we'll find out more about her in the coming weeks as more and more people get her the 7 stars out of the Cantina now that she's a farmable character. I definitely will look into her more because she is really like the epitome of a raid character. So we'll take a look at that and kind of see what she can do. Maurice, your camera turned off. But
this should be back there. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah. So as far as that goes, we'll definitely dive into her a little bit more over the next couple of weeks, and I will start farming her after I'm done with L3. So that'll be my next priority. But
well, she has a little bit of a use too. I mean, I couldn't pull it off. I did try it, but much like the Darth Maul, keep everybody in stealth, have Nest eat all the damage. Or Singh can do the same thing with the bounty hunters. So. Urzatron made a video about the team, kind of very similar to the Darth Maul team. So you can use Aura Singh, with well-developed bounty hunters and mods to beat Revan. So that's something to keep in mind, maybe a secondary use for if you guys are going after her.
Yeah, I just feel like she comes off primarily as a raid-centric character. And I'm more of an arena guy. So, I mean, I definitely haven't really focused on her very much. But I can imagine that for those of you that are, kind of chomping at the bit to get her into a raid, now is kind of the time where a lot of you guys are probably in the middle of farming her and getting her ready to go. So, we'll do a little bit more research, and on the next stream, we'll talk a little bit more about it. I'll touch back on it because it seems like a lot of you kind of want to discuss this topic. So I'll find out some more information about it. And we'll discuss it on the next. We'll discuss it on the next live show. Thank you very much to GK3 for the $5 donation to the stream. Really appreciate that very much. That's very nice of you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, man. Really appreciate that. I feel like we'll probably rehash this topic again next week. But if that's it, if you guys don't have any more questions that you'd like to ask or topics you'd like to discuss, we're gonna call it a stream here, and we'll be back again next Sunday. I will have some stuff coming out, over the next couple of days, specifically about the Grand Arena, and also some stuff about some upcoming possibilities for these characters. I want to kind of discuss a little bit more you know, what we could possibly be looking at here towards the end of the year as far as, you know, original trilogy characters or the Old Republic characters. So I'm going to make a video about that. But again, thank you guys for sticking it out. You know, I really appreciate everybody hanging out with us here till, you know, almost 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. But we'll be back next Sunday with the next live show. And again, you know, look forward to Maurice and Team Money stream on the Operation Metaverse channel on Tuesday night. So definitely check that out. And, you know, again, thank you very much for the donation. We really appreciate that. And I'm sorry we're ending it here right now, but, you know, we look forward to being back for you guys next week, guys. So, you know, may the Force be with you, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, guys.